Protesters made good their threats to disrupt the Grand National. Several animal rights activists made it onto the course at Aintree before they were removed by police. The race was delayed but went ahead.
And again, Scotland take the National with Corach Rambler.
But when the winner crossed the line, several horses had fallen and their condition has not been confirmed. Also, health bosses warn of significant risk to patients during the next nurses' strike. Britons in Sudan are told to stay indoors after heavy fighting between the army and paramilitaries. And Paul O'Grady's cause of death is revealed. The 67-year-old suffered a cardiac arrest.
This is ITV News with Gamal Fahnbulleh.
Good evening. The start of today's Grand National was delayed by around 15 minutes after protesters invaded the course just before the race. Police moved quickly to remove at least 9 people believed to be animal rights activists who had pledged to disrupt the event. Chris Scudder is there for us. Chris, just talk us through what happened.
Yeah, chaos really, Gamal. 9 people arrested altogether, 3 of those in the morning outside the race course. And then about 5 o'clock, about 15 minutes before the scheduled start of the Grand National, 6 protesters managed to get over the fence near the second fence. That's the perimeter fence, and onto the course. 3 of those got onto the track and were arrested by the police. A total of 6 from that incident were detained by the police, and the race was delayed by around 14 minutes. That left, of course, the jockeys and the horses a little bit agitated, and then they all charged towards the first fence. 14-minute delay, and as they went over the first fence, I'm sorry to say that there was some carnage on the landing side, and some horses did appear to be injured. The screens went up, and that, of course, will give ammunition to those who are protesting about the state of national hunt racing and the Grand National. That will all come out in the coming days, I'm sure, but the race itself was a classic, and this is how it finished.
And again, Scotland take the National with Corach Rambler.
Corach Rambler, a delight for Lucinda Russell. It's the first British-trained winner of the Grand National since her one for Arthur, also trained by Linda Russell in 2017. So a fantastic day for her. And Derek Fox was the winning jockey, celebrating. Here's what he made of the great day.
I can't believe it, to be honest. He's just a phenomenal horse. He's been so lucky for me. I was blessed today I ever got the leg up on him the first day. And no, I can't believe it.
Corach Rambler, winner at 8-1 for Derek Fox and Lucinda Russell. But this day, I think, is going to be overshadowed by the protests and injuries, I'm afraid, to more horses.
OK, Chris, thank you. Health bosses say the next nurses' strike in 2 weeks' time will significantly increase the risk to patients. Emergency and cancer nurses are set to join the walkout for the first time. And there are worries tonight that further strikes could be called in coordination with junior doctors after neither union ruled it out. Chloe Keedy has the latest.
Hospitals were attempting to get back to their normal routines today, following 4 days of walkouts by junior doctors. But as one strike ends, another is already looming. Hours after nurses voted in favour of a new 48-hour strike next month, their colleagues at the Doctors' Union refused to rule out the possibility of joint action.
The prospect of junior doctors and nurses out at the same time, we would be in genuinely uncharted territory. The NHS has never had to face that prospect. It would be incredibly, incredibly difficult to manage the challenges and risks there.
Nurses and junior doctors want a pay rise. And yesterday, members of the Royal College of Nursing voted narrowly to reject the government's offer of 5%, although their colleagues at another big union voted to accept it. Nurses have already staged several walkouts this winter, but what will be different about this one is that nurses working in emergency departments, intensive care units and cancer care will be joining their colleagues on strike for the first time. Abby works in A&E and says nurses deserve more than the government's offering.
Staff are still struggling, it's affecting morale, it's affecting mental health. We're still trying our best, even at this moment, short-staffed, underpaid, underrun, lack of equipment.
If patients were hoping for an end to these strikes, their waiting time isn't over yet. Chloe Keedy, ITV News.
Several people are reported dead after heavy fighting broke out in Sudan today between the army and the country's largest paramilitary force. British nationals have been advised to stay indoors whilst the embassy monitors the situation. Callum Watkinson reports.
With fighter planes in the air and soldiers on the streets, the paramilitary Rapid Support Force and the Sudanese army clashed in Khartoum today. Passengers cowered in the airport as it came under attack in what many fear are the opening salvos of a civil war. The two groups joined forces to depose the former president in 2019. And for those who watch Sudan, a conflict between them has since then been as inevitable as it is now unwinnable.
It's been an open question for a while for outside observers as to who would actually come out on top in a contest between these two. And the general sense is that it's a terrible question to ask because such a war would be unwinnable because both sides are so strong.
A framework agreement signed in December to return Sudan to civilian control looks shaky today, though the Americans still have hope.
It's a fragile situation. There are other actors that may be pushing against that progress, but this is a real opportunity to finally carry forward the civilian-led transition.
But one of the sticking points is the merging of the RSF with the army. It's something they don't want, and they have the means to fight their corner. Callum Watkinson, ITV News.
There was further unrest in France today after the country's controversial pension reform was signed into law. More than 1,000 protesters marched through the city of Rennes this afternoon, at times clashing with police. President Macron signed the bill raising the retirement age from 62 to 64 early this morning. 14 new smart motorways will no longer be built after Prime Minister Rishi Sunak acknowledged concerns about safety and cost. Downing Street says the move is due to financial pressures and a lack of public trust. And Paul O'Grady's cause of death has been confirmed on his death certificate, a sudden arrhythmic death syndrome. The British Heart Foundation says that phrase describes a cardiac arrest when the exact cause of the arrest can't be determined. The TV presenter and comedian died last month at the age of 67. And that's it for now. I'll be back with the latest at 10:25. Until then, I do hope you enjoy what is left of your evening. Bye for now. Bye-bye.
The warm weather continues. So why not squeeze the most out of the day? Heinz Tomato Ketchup sponsors ITV National Weather.
A very good evening to you. A little more cloud expected as we slide into the second half of this weekend. Patchy rain in the west through the next few hours and just a light breeze as the rest of the weekend unfolds. Clearer skies to start the evening and the night across these eastern locations, and temperatures fall across East Anglia. Here close to freezing in the most prone spots, a slight patchy frost with some misty low cloud come dawn. Otherwise, thicker cloud with an area of rain working its way through the Irish Sea into western locations here. A little dull and damp into the first stages of Sunday, and behind this misty low cloud developing across Northern Ireland. So into Sunday morning, a little grotty first thing, an awful lot of cloud cover. The best of any brightness developing in the east once that misty low cloud clears, although it will be quite chilly first thing. And then cloud working its way across many locations. That patchy rain and drizzle will tend to fade. A largely dry afternoon, highs of 15 or 16 degrees, even with a lack of sunshine.
Heinz Tomato Ketchup sponsors ITV National Weather.